Welcome back to Tech Help with Tracy, the fictional podcast I've created for the sake of creating my study guide for Exam 2. Today we have a letter from 11-year-old Jimmy from Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and he writes, "Hi Tracy, my name is Jimmy and I'm 11 years old, and I'm a really big fan of your show." Oh, thank you, Jimmy. I'm trying to write my own programs right now, and I'm only using structure charts to plan everything out. That's really advanced stuff for an 11-year-old, but okay. I've been reading about this thing called a flowchart, and I guess it's supposed to help me plan my programs out even more. I'm only 11, so I can't really understand all the big words programmers use. I was wondering if you could talk about that on your show. Thanks. Thanks for writing in, Jimmy. So you already know what a structure chart's for, outlining the entirety of your program and where the flow of information is. And similarly, a flowchart is used to outline specific modules and get into the nitty-gritty of all their details. In order to understand how they work, we need to take a look at the specific symbols they use. This oval here is what we call a terminator. They signify a module's specific start and end point. Here's an example of what that looks like. Boom. Here's a rectangle with smaller rectangles around it, which is one type of a processing symbol. And this symbol can signify different things, like you might be trying to call other modules within this specific module. But in this case, it gives the specific name of your module and what its arguments are. Here's an example. Boom. Now, we're not going to put what our variables data types are in this box. To do this, we can actually connect the terminator and the processing symbol with an arrow and stick this annotation bracket on, like so. Now we can put whatever variables and their data types are used in this module here. Let's say we need to ask our user a question. Use this parallelogram to denote when we're going to display something on the screen. So given the whole coronavirus situation, I might want to ask how the user's doing. Boom. That's how we do it. So I'm sure at some point you're going to want to do some math in your programs. To do this, we're just going to use a simple rectangle to denote any mathematical operation. Here's my example right here. I've assigned my variable basic math to equal whatever 1 plus 2 is. So lastly, let's say we want to ask our user a yes or no question. That user needs to make a decision. What better way to show that than with this nifty little symbol called a decision diamond? Now be careful, because these decision diamonds only deal with answers from Boolean questions, which is it's a fancy way of saying yes or no. From there, you can choose to execute specific steps in your program depending on if your user says yes or no. I hope that answers your questions about flowcharts, Jimmy. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Tech Help with Tracy. Do not join us again next week, because this was the first and only episode. Alrighty, take care, folks.